Okay, all of you, thanks for coming. Let's do the Bill of Rights. I am.
You can say hi to everybody if you'd like to.
I feel like Emily's gonna listen to this later and she's gonna hear it. Hi, Emily.
Were you recording that entire time?
No.
Okay.
All right, Bill of Rights. Are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, all right? They all came in together. So even though there are 10 of them, they are still considered individual amendments. So we still say there have been 27 total amendments, though these first 10 come in at the same time. The First Amendment is what most people would say would be the most precious of amendments. It has our most basic rights. Those are speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition. So the First Amendment is obviously essential to us as a country. The second one is the famous right to bear arms. It is interesting if you read it. You hear so much about it, but all the Second Amendment says is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So what we oftentimes hear when you talk about gun debates is what is a well-regulated militia? Is that an individual? Is that a whole body? Something like that. So it's an interesting argument there. The third one is the quartering act, is no quartering of soldiers. This goes back to the Intolerable Acts. Obviously, this is the one that has no impact on us at all right now, that we have no soldiers coming to try to stay in our homes. But that is number 3. Number 4 is search and seizure. You do not have to submit to an illegal, or you do not have to admit to a search unless there is a warrant that is given.
Wait, why does that? It goes 1, 2, 4.
Right, 3 we don't have to. 3 is the quartering act, so I'm not going to worry about that. So what that means is that the police, for example, cannot come into your home without a warrant and search your home, and you can tell them no. They can search you if they feel they have probable cause. So if they pull you over and they see a open bottle in the back seat of your car of whiskey, they could do that. This is where you get into debates on what's a probable cause, right? And this is where you have a lot of racial issues that come up, and that, you know, being pulled over for being a person of color, where this comes in. Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment involves criminal proceedings, things that you have. 3 items that you must get. You must be formally accused of a crime based on evidence. So you cannot be arrested just for being arrested. They have to tell you what that means. Okay? You cannot be tried twice for the same thing. They would call that double jeopardy. So what that means is that, for example, when we talk about Emmett Till, the 2 guys are found not guilty of killing Emmett Till. They walk out of the courtroom and give an interview where they say that they killed him. You cannot be tried twice for that, so they can't go back and try you again. So they get one shot at it. So that's a lot of times if you see somebody and they're saying, like, you know, they don't try someone because they say they don't have enough evidence, it's in order to make sure that this will work. And also, you don't have to testify. You can plead the Fifth. You don't have to provide evidence against you. So you have the right to do that. 6 and 7 go together. These are more rights that you have. They would include trial by jury, the right to counsel, so you must be provided a lawyer, and the right to confront another witness. What's that? Can I go back to 5? So, if you accuse me of a crime, I have the right to question you in a court. Good? Okay. 8. Excessive punishments. Okay? Bail must be set at a fair price. If you steal a loaf of bread, they cannot set bail at $1 million. You have to set bail based on what you have. And there is no cruel and unusual punishment. Now that, again, can be argued, and where we oftentimes hear about cruel and unusual punishment debates is with regards to the death penalty. But if you steal that loaf of bread, you can't go to jail for 50 years. Right? Number 9 are the unenumerated rights. Any right that is not specifically listed in the Constitution goes to the people. So, as it says in the packet, right, you have the right to privacy, the right to get married, you have the right to drive a car, you have the right to be a parent. There's nothing in there, it goes automatically to the people. And then number 10, any rights that are not specifically listed in the Constitution go to the people. So we have the right to do things that are not listed there. Number 10, powers reserved to the states. Any power that is not specifically given to the federal government goes to the state. So, Minnesota has no sales tax when you buy clothes. That is a right that we have as a state to make that decision. Before gay marriage became legal in the country, each state had the individual right to determine whether or not marriage was legal in that state for gay people. So anything not listed directly in there goes to the states. Questions about the Bill of Rights? Okay, that's 1 through 10. The next 17, I'm going to just focus on a couple of the big ones. Okay, the 12th is the election of the president and the vice president. We're going to talk about this in class tomorrow, but this is the idea that you make sure that now the president and the vice president will be elected not as the first electoral winner and the second electoral winner. 13 to 15 are the Civil Rights Amendment. The 13th abolishes slavery. The 14th guarantees citizenship. And the 15th guarantees the right to vote for African Americans. Yep, 13 is abolishing slavery. 14 is citizenship. Get citizenship. And 15 is the right to vote. Important to note in the right to vote is that it says the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous conditions of servitude. What is not in there?
Wait, can you say that again?
Yep. The United States, rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. What's not listed? What can they do? What's that? Gender. Right? There's nothing about women in here.
Previous condition of servitude.
Right, so if you had been a slave, that doesn't mean that they will not try to stop black people from voting. And we'll see that in many different ways. So 13 through 15 is civil rights. 16 through 19 are the progressive amendments from the progressive era. The progressive era was designed to give more power to the people, to benefit people. So 16 creates an income tax. The idea being that the more money you make, the more tax you pay. 17 is the direct election of senators. We talked about how before the state legislatures did senators. 17 gives that to the people. 18 is prohibition, no drinking, because alcohol was deemed to be a bad thing. 19 is women get the right to vote. The 19th is in 1920. So it has been less than 100 years that women have had the right to vote in the United States. What has just finished in 1920 that has proven that women can do this? What has happened what just got done in 1920? What world event? World War I. Right. Something I said? See you later. All right. So, quickly. 20 we're going to skip. 21. '21 is the end of Prohibition. It took 14 years for the United States to realize that they wanted to drink again. So, 18 makes drinking illegal. 21 makes drinking legal again. It is the only amendment that has been done to get rid of another amendment, which is what you'd have to do. Okay? 22. Term limits. This is after FDR. Makes it that you can only serve 2 terms. '23, voters in DC get to vote for the president. 24 says that you cannot have a poll tax to vote. You can't make people pay to vote. '25 is an interesting one. It involves the vice president. Basically saying that if the president is no longer, I'll just read it to you, in case of the removal of the president from the office or his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. It also says when there is a vacancy, the vice president will do it. So, for example, this comes after the Kennedy assassination, but if the president goes into surgery and is put under, right, like they're having anesthesia, the vice president will become the president during that time period.
And then just be demoted back down.
Correct. Yes.
Oh,
All right. 26 is the voting age. It goes from being 21 years old to 18. And the final one, our 27th amendment, so 27 total amendments, is congressional salary. This is a really interesting one. This was originally proposed in 1789. This was one of the original 17 that were proposed to the Bill of Rights. It passes in 1992. What it says is that if the Congress votes to give themselves a pay raise,
Wait, passes what?
1992. If Congress votes to give themselves a pay raise, it does not go into effect until the next Congress comes in. So let's say I'm in the Congress and I vote
Votes to have a pay raise, it doesn't get put into place
till the next Congress. So if I vote for $100,000 pay raise for congressman, what that means is I have to win re-election in order to get that.
Until next election.
So it prevents the congressman from just saying, like, we're going to give ourselves a huge raise. In Minnesota, we saw a problem with this in that our legislators get paid hardly anything, and they're afraid to give themselves a pay raise because they will lose their job. And so they're getting paid hardly any money.
How much do they make?
It's like under $50,000. I mean, it's hardly anything. And so these are kind of big problems. That's it. Questions about it?
That's all.
That's 27. So 27 amendments. So the big things to focus on are the Bill of Rights, knowing 13 through 15, knowing 16 through 19 are civil rights and progressive. Right? Those are sort of the big lumped ones together.
When do we have to take this test?
Monday. Oh yeah,
I thought it was Wednesday.
that's the other test.
See, that's why people should have.
What?
That's why people should have let us take it on Friday.
Any other questions before I stop this?
This test is in.
All right, so now I'm going to show all of you guys the test right now. You all see the test, okay? You now have the answers, so don't show anybody else, okay?
Okay.
Are we allowed to